Hi, everyone. Apologies for being a bit late. Feel free to start asking questions. Can also talk a bit about a couple of things I've been seeing in EB-1A profile building. One thing I've been seeing a lot is a lot of people are interested in writing papers. If you are interested in writing papers and getting published and are not sure how to get started, something you can do is reach out to professors at local universities or at your alma mater and ask about how these professors, these academics, these researchers have approached paper writing. Because by talking to the people who are actually actively publishing research, actively publishing papers, you can not only potentially get introduced to opportunities to work with them, but also learn more about the paper writing process that you could then apply to your own paper writing and publishing. So, really, with any activity that you're interested in, you want to be talking to people who are already doing those activities to understand how they got started and what pointers they might have for someone like you who's just getting started with that particular activity. So it again comes down to something I talk about all the time, which is outreach. You have to be doing, well, it depends on how fast you want to go with profile building, but generally speaking, outreach is what can really help with profile building. Messaging, emailing people who are doing the kinds of activities you want to be doing. It could even be reaching out to reporters. That's something I've been doing actively on my end to find reporter contacts for my paid newsletter, which is $12 per month. So within that, I have maintained a contacts database where people can reach out to people I've spoken to personally. And these are people who are open to introducing opportunities to you or speaking with you. Some of them are reporters. But you can be doing all of this on your own as well. You can be doing a lot of outreach, reaching out to, say you're interested in peer review. Reach out to IEEE reviewers. You can find all these people on LinkedIn. Just search for IEEE reviewer, and you'll find a bunch of IEEE reviewers who are probably going to be open to speaking with you, especially if you have, say, 5, 10, 15 years of industry experience, because a lot of these people are also looking for more, not all of them, but a good number of them are looking for more people to get involved in what they're doing because they want to, say, help grow an organization. They want to help relieve a backlog for a conference that has a ton of papers that have yet to be reviewed. Dale Jr. has a question. Hey, Jason, for EB-1A, how would satisfy the professional license criteria for AI or software engineering? Don't really know what criterion you're referring to for EB-1A. I just know that EB-1A is about the 3 prongs of DANASAR. So substantial merit, well position, national importance, and that based on the preponderance of evidence that your waiving perm is justified. That's the extent of my knowledge of any sort of criteria for EB-1A, so not really sure what you're referring to. Any profile building opportunities for ERP Treasury. So there are a bunch of ERP professionals within my newsletter. And yeah, I can keep adding more ERP opportunities. But based on what I've seen, a lot of ERP opportunities just come through getting involved in member organizations. So you might want to start joining member organizations. Like one that comes to mind is like Oracle's user group. And then SAP has a bunch of opportunities as well. So you might want to get involved in those circles, those groups, to start getting referred to those opportunities. Anyone else have questions? So eligibility. So are you referring to the progressive experience requirement? So like some people apply for NIW with no master's degree, but then they have a bachelor's and 5 years of progressive experience. I would have to look more about. I would have to look at EB-1A eligibility again. Okay, progressive experience. My understanding is that is not a very strict requirement. It's not really a point of concern for a lot of EB-1NW profile builders I've spoken to, nor is it something that lawyers I've spoken to and currently work with have really brought up. So it's not really something that is of concern. I would have looked more into this, since this is a nuance that's not really extensively asked about or covered. But yeah. But speaking of profile building opportunities, I can also share more about my profile building opportunities database, which you can get access to as part of my paid newsletter, which is $12 per month. As part of the newsletter, you will get newsletter resources. You will get access to a profile building opportunities database, which currently lists over 300 profile building opportunities categorized by field and by criteria. So these just give you an understanding of how to work towards certain criteria, and then just starting points that you can look into to kickstart your profile building. Outside of that, I also review AAO decisions as part of my profile building resources. So these are decisions that go into USCIS's initial reasoning for denying an EB-1A, EB-2NW, or O1 petition. And from them, I draw profile building insights, and they give you an understanding of how USCIS thinks about EB-1A, EB-2NW, and O1. And you will also get access to my video resources, which are just conversations with EB-1A recipients about questions that a lot of you have asked me about, which include how to show strong leading or critical role, how to ask people for references, how to claim original contributions. So these are just some of the video resources that I've shared so far within my newsletter. And you will also get access to some of the recordings of my EB-1A profile building office hours, which I am continually uploading right now. And as part of the newsletter, you will also get access to a group chat within the newsletter. So the newsletter also gives you additional newsletter posts and access to this group chat. So within this group chat, there are a lot of people right now who are working towards papers, who are sharing judging opportunities, who are sharing opportunities with each other. So this group chat is quite active. A lot of people are just talking to each other all the time, working with each other, collaborating. And it seems to be helping a lot of people speed up their profile building. So just recently, one person within my group chat told me that they were able to publish in 2 conferences a paper that they had worked on with 2 private group members. So that's just something that can come from working with other profile builders. You spend less time overall on, say, a paper, but then combining your expertise with the expertise of others, you are able to produce a much better paper and then get it published as well. So that's my group chat within my paid newsletter, which is $12 per month, which can help you meet more profile builders, and also is a space where you can ask me questions and also share your progress updates. And I do review some of these updates and answer questions from time to time within my private group chat, within my newsletter. Mahesh asks, do you have profile building for pharmaceutical and analytical chemist professional and paid source? So there are quite a few pharma professionals within my newsletter, so I would say yes, I do list some of these opportunities. Let me see if I can pull them up. It's not as extensive as my tech opportunities, but I can always look more into the space. I also know several people in this space, so I can definitely introduce you to some of them. They are in my private group right now. I know at least 2 people who are working towards EB-1A and are. So I do have some opportunities for pharma. Not as many as, say, for tech, but outside of that, I do know quite a few pharma people within the private group. Come to think of it, at least 3 people who are working on speaking opportunities, who are working on papers, who are working on judging. One person I know has already landed 3 speaking opportunities in a matter of weeks. So he's someone you might want to talk to, and he's in the private group. Anyone else have questions? But yeah, just going back to what I was saying, it's just a lot of outreach. That's really that is what profile building is really about. It's doing a lot of outreach, applying for a lot of opportunities, and yeah, sending out as many messages and emails as possible. And a common problem that I also hear a lot about is I'm not hearing back from the people I've reached out to. So to fix that problem, it's usually either a volume issue, you're not sending enough messages, you're only sending 10, that's absolutely not enough. Aim for 30 to 100 a month or 30 to 100 a week if you really want to make much faster progress. Outside of that, it is also about refining your initial email or message. It's not just about, like, what I see a lot is people just overload the recipient with a bunch of details about their work. That kind of email is probably not going to be read. In 3 to 5 sentences, summarize what you have done and also talk about what you can do for them, how you can help them. If you've noticed they're peer reviewing, talk about a conference that is coming up within the organization that they are involved in and how you can help relieve the backlog of papers, maybe, or just ask if there is a backlog of papers and whether you could help relieve the backlog by reviewing those papers. It's not as clear cut as, say, applying for an opportunity, but this is where a lot of opportunities come about that are not publicly available, that people have not applied for. There are a lot of these opportunities just floating around that are not being advertised. And how you want to get those opportunities is through outreach. Anyone else have questions? Any other questions? And again, one of the most perpetuated myths about profile building is that you need patents and publications. You don't. You don't need patents. You don't need publications. Some people are able to present a strong profile with critical role, judging, and high salary. That is possibly a strong profile. Think of a CEO, for instance, of a company. They definitely have a strong leading role, definitely have high salary, and say they've judged like a couple of awards here and there, or judged like maybe even hackathons, depending on the kind of CEO they are, or like pitch competitions. That's a strong profile. And that can be enough for final merits, because final merits could be shown, strong final merits, that is, through the applicant's leading or critical role. That is absolutely possible. It's possible to present a strong profile with that kind of background without authorship, without patents. Just comes down to the strength of your criteria in general. If you have 3 strong criteria, then you have a strong profile. Versus if you have 1 strong criteria and 2 decent criteria, maybe you might need authorship and membership. But if you have 3 really strong criteria and they all contribute to final, or one of them is strong enough for final merits, of course you can't really know that for sure, but if you're the CEO of, say, a major company, then you most likely have a strong argument for how you've risen to the top of your field because you're at the top of a very top company within your field. Then that's a strong argument for final merits. So just a common misconception that comes up all the time: you need patents and publications. You don't. Any other questions? All right, if there are no other questions, I will end the stream there. Thanks everyone for joining.